SABC, together with the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development, bring you the final verdict. In the pursuit of justice, we are all equal before the law. These are some of the stories that have led to the final verdict. Many single parents in South Africa work themselves to the bone to feed their children and send them to school. These single parents may avoid applying for maintenance from the absent parent because they fear the process will be too costly or because they don't even know where the other parent is. But there are free services out there that can help them.
Both parents have got a responsibility to maintain their children according to their own means. This entails whether both parents are married or they out of wedlock or they have subsequently divorced. That duty doesn't cease, so the parents have got that responsibility.
Hey, angikholwa bengingazi ngale ndawo. Ngikutshelile. Hey, babonile abantu babela. Usho ukuthi wenza imali eningi. Hayi, sekuhlile, kumele sihambe. Hayi, asambe impela. Hawu, uyena. Ini. Shh, fihla ikhana lakho. Asambe.
Excel. Dankie zama for unkadela ne. Hey, Nozipho. Kunjani mehlo madala? Usifihle phi?
Senzo, sawubona.
Ujahephi? Wena nomngane wakho ningahlali phansi ngizonithengela iphuzo?
Ah, cha, kumele sihambe.
Manje uzongishiya ngilenga nje. And then Mbali. Ufunani la?
Ngifunani la? Uthe awunamali Senzo. Uneshibhini. Sonke lesikhathi mina bengihlupheka ngihlala noma khokhela ingane zakhe imali yesikole. Oh, kodwa kuwe kumnandi la. Unika yonke intombazane edlulayo utshwala bamahala.
Yazini, ngicela uphume.
Yazini, buka Senzo, buka nginayo ngisho imali ye-taxi. Kodwa yazini enginayo amadodakazi amabili Senzo. Badinga ukudla, izimpahla kanye nemfundo. Kodwa wena uyabalahla nje kanjalo. Fana noyihlo.
Yazini, phuma man hawu.
Sengiyahamba vele.
The maintenance court are located within the magistrates in various jurisdictions within the Republic. Obviously, a parent who is in custody of the child can approach these courts if the other party is not maintaining the child. In particular, therefore, it's quite clear that there must be a proof that there is a child. That parent must also be in a position to prove that indeed that particular child requires maintenance, that the child is not self-sufficient.
Mbali approached the clerk of the court to start maintenance proceedings.
Inkosi ngisize.
Kuhleke lokho. Uyazi akuvamile ukuthi kufike umuntu olungiselele kahle njengawe la.
Hayi, ngempela akuvamile. Nami ngihleze ngikhohle ukuthile. Kodwa belunohlelo emsakazweni lwesondlo. Bathe ngifika ne-ID, ne-proof of residence kanye ne-decree ye-divorce.
Hawu, siyalibongela lolo hlelo. Uyazi ukuthi kwenza umsebenzi wami ubelula kakhulu. Kodwa ke into engizoyicela kuwena ikheli likaMnumzana uPhewa noma ucingo lenombolo yakhe uma ngabe unalo sobe sesiqedile wanamhlanje.
We, empeleni angisamazi ukuthi usehlala kuphi. Asisathintana.
Hawu, usho ukuthi ingane yazimvakashele na?
Cha. Yazi ngisanda ukutholakala ukuthi uneshibhini la eSoweto. Kodwa ingakho ngithatha isinqumo sokubhalelisa imali yesondlo. Mhlawumbe ngingaya khona ngibone ukuthi
cha. Asikho isidingo sokwenza lokho nkosikazi uPhewa. Inkantolo iyoqasha i-maintenance investigator ezothola lapho ekhona. Futhi i-investigator iyobe sethola kabanzi ngesimo sakhe semali.
Ha, kodwa ngeke ngibe nemali yezinto ezifana nalezo.
Cha, ungahlupheki. Inkantolo izokukhokhela konke lokho.
Hawu, ngempela.
Ngempela. Uyazi ukuthi abantu abaningi bayenqena ukuza la. Bacabanga ukuthi bayokhokha imali eningi, kodwa akukho njalo.
Uqinisile. Yazi, ngabe bengazi ngakho konke lokho ngonyaka uphelile.
Hawu, kungcono ngoba sowuyazi manje.
Yazi ngiyabonga kakhulu.
Hawu, bonga mina.
When an applicant walks into the courthouse, the applicant meets the clerk of the court. The clerk of the court takes the application form, all the necessary documents, if there is an ID available of the applicant, and the documents like birth certificates of children, all the necessary documents that are necessary for an application. And then the clerk refers that application to a maintenance officer. The maintenance officer then looks at the application to determine whether in fact everything is there.
Every magistrate's court is also a maintenance court and provides the following services free of charge. First, applications for maintenance orders. Applications to change maintenance orders. Applications to have part of the respondent's salary used to pay maintenance on a regular basis. Applications to have a maintenance order enforced against the respondent. Applications for a foreign maintenance order. Civil and criminal proceedings arising from a complaint of non-payment. Contact your local magistrate's court for more information.
The application itself for maintenance is free. The whole system, the intervention of the clerk of the court, the intervention of the maintenance officer, the calling of the respondent, the time that we spend, the industry that we spend in trying to mediate as maintenance officers to resolve these issues. All those services are for free. They are paid for by the state.
Coming up, a maintenance investigator is appointed to uncover the truth about Senzo's financial position. The Maintenance Act was introduced to reform the entire South African maintenance system to ensure a sensitive and fair approach. The Act allows the Minister or any officer of the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development authorized thereto in writing by the Minister to appoint maintenance investigators who may perform any power, duty or function in terms of the Act.
We subpoena the banks, and also we can subpoena those investment institutions so that we can get at the financial position of the respondent. Sometimes they are caught by surprise because we prepare a report, and when they came to court and start lying and then say, no, we have to call our witness, and then when I'm called in, then he will be caught by surprise. I will produce statements.
A single mother of one made application to the maintenance court so that the father of her children would be compelled to pay maintenance.
I first came to the maintenance court for advice. Then I got this lady, Happiness. He asked her for the forms. Then she gives me the forms. She asked me to bring along my ID copy, the residential address copy, and the birth certificate copy for my child. We did have the mediation. Then we got to the settlement. Then the father agreed to pay the maintenance. Then I was satisfied about that. The mediation does work because at the end I was the one who's helping the child.
The successful application shows that even if you don't know where the person is or whether he or she can afford to pay maintenance, it's worth applying for. After all, the entire process is free.
Sawubona mfethu. Ukhona uSenzo?
Yebo khona kodwa ngicabanga ukuthi usakhuluma ocingweni. Ngakutholela okuphuzwayo.
Ngiyajabula. Cela ungiphe icoke.
Okay.
Lampintsha yakho lebo ngitshela ngayo. Ngitshela ukuthi ize kusasa for interview. I've just signed a contract in the Soweto tours. Yoba singisiphithiphithi la.
Sawubona Mr. Phewa. Ngingukhwezi Zulu.
Ngisenzo mfethu, ngakusiza ngani?
Ngi-maintenance investigator ebuya kwi-local magistrate court. Ngilethe lokhu. Ngithunywe nokuthi ngenze ucwaningo luphelele ngezimali zakho.
Enhle kuyini le?
Le isabhina ecela ukuthi uyohlala kwi-application inquiry noMrs. Phewa. Nginike nemvumo ukuthi ngibheke isimo sakho sezimali.
Uyajoko riyadlala. Sahlukana kudala naleya muntu. Enzonke lezi zinto lezi sayenza lento le.
uMrs. Phewa ukholwa ukuthi usungakwazi manje ukukhokha imali esondlo. Udinga usizo lwakho unakela amadodakazi akho amabili.
Ayahlanya loyo. Hawu wanyeka athole next la kimi.
Mr. Phewa, ingabe isikhathi esihle lesi ukuthi singathi ukubheka isimo sakho sezimali noma ufuna sihlehlise ngibuye kusasa?
Awunamvumo kulezo zinto. Zi-private.
I-cellphone number yakho leya?
Eyama-custom.
Hayi-ke, kulungile. Ngizoqala ngokwenza i-ITC ngaleya number. Okunye sokuhlanganisa kahle uma usunesikhathi.
Hayi kulungile mfethu. Awukusho. Yini i-ITC?
I-ITC i-credit check, Mr. Phewa. Isisiza ukuthi sibone ukuthi unama-bank account amangaki, ama-loans amangaki, izinto ezifana njengalezo.
Ungitshela ukuthi konke lokho ngikhona ukucheck nge-cellphone number.
Yingakho secela ukuthi ubambisane nathi.
Because now RICA, it will, as we know that, it's linked to the main institution of that maintenance defaulters. And therefore, when he's doing some transaction through that cell phone banking, it will be easy for us to trace that money through his cell phone. We will be using ITC, using his surname, and also liaising with the Department of Labor, using his ID number, and also checking with his employer about his address.
So, ama-expenses wakho ngakhokha ngale account. Ikuphi account ofake no cash?
Hayi cha. Angideposit yonke imali. Uzinye indawo ngikhokha ngocash.
Una i-cash book? Una ama-records ama-expenses wakho?
Phela bengazi ukuthi incwadi zami zizohlolwa.
Nothing like a challenge then, I suppose.
Ayike. Sukushiye nomsebenzi wakho. Nami khona umsebenzi kumele nguyenze. Usenayo cellphone number yami ngithi?
Ya nginayo.
Hayi, mabe khona okudingayo usuzongithinta. Athi ukuyeke nje uzivocavoce neincwadi zakho.
Not in all instances the people are in a position to prove that they receive monthly or weekly income. In a case like the one that we've just witnessed, one can use the services of a maintenance investigator to make the assessment and the verification when one is involved in an informal business that might not have all the documentary proof that might go into an audited financial statement. It might happen that not all the time the money finds its way to the bank, but the maintenance investigators can do the assessment.
Ukhona usenzo?
Cha akekho usanda phuma manje.
Damn it. Lunga was just busted with an expired permit. Awazi ukuthi uzobuya nini?
Hayi angazi. Uthe i-permit?
Cha ngisho lutho. Ithi ngihambe.
Sabona. Ngidinga ukwazi ukuthi ngabe zingaki izimoto ezibhaliswe nge-driver's license yomuntu othile. Ngakhuluma noPhilip. Ya, kulungile. Ngiyabonga.
Is when a person buys a car, that car will be registered. And therefore, it will be easy for us when we liaise with certain institutions such as SABC. It will be easy for us to know whether this person is a maintenance defaulter and he owns a certain vehicle, so that vehicle can be attached.
Coming up, Mbali and Senzo meet with the maintenance officer to discuss how much he should be paying for their children. On her way to the preliminary inquiry, Mbali ran into Mr. Zulu, the maintenance investigator, who told her what he had learned about Senzo's financial position.
Mrs. Pewa.
Yebo, ngumnumzane Zulu.
Yes. Pleased to meet you.
Nami.
Right, asingachithi isikhathi. Singakhuluma khona la?
Oh, okay.
Okay. I managed to calculate a rough estimate on the earnings of the shipping. Kodwa ngenxa ukuthi umholo wakhe awufani, kube nzima ukuhlanganisa umholo wakhe wonke wenyanga. His whole filing system is a complete mess.
Singathi ngiyambona.
I also looked at the last 6 months' profits and all his bank statements and worked out what type of salary he should earn. This will form the base for my report.
Sounds complicated.
Ukuba bekuyishiphe kuphela, ngabe kube lula kakhulu.
Hayibo. Usho ukuthini?
Well, I was beginning to make sense of some of his files and documents, which kept making reference to licensing and minibuses. Ase ngicabanga ukuthi angibheke ukuthi zingaki izimoto ezibhaliswe ngegama lakhe.
Hayibo. Imoto.
Yep. Turns out he owns a small taxi business.
Ini?
It's quite a lucrative industry, as you can imagine.
Angikholwa. Bengingazi ngakho konke lokho. So much for him claiming to be broke. That means that he's refusing to even pay for his own daughters.
Business isentsha nkosikazi. Kunemali eningi edingakalayo ukuyiqala. But it will make quite a bit of money once it gets off the ground.
Hey, ngabe wayenjani masubona? Will this be enough proof? Do you think we will have to go to court?
I don't know, Mrs. Pewa. No one ever likes parting with their money. But hopefully, the two of you will be able to come to a settlement agreement with the help of some mediation, of course.
Hey, hopefully.
The preliminary maintenance inquiry serves in particular the purpose of mediating between the parties and ensuring that the parties can reach a resolution without the necessity of a long-winded formal inquiry in court.
The respondent would be there listening to the applicant, considering the paperwork that the applicant has set out to say there are 4 children. These are the expenses that I incur in respect of the children. These are their medical costs, their school needs, everything that has got to do with the maintenance of the child. This is how much I pay for provision of their shelter and so forth. So the respondent would be listening and would be able to interrogate in an informal way and an informal setup the extent of the claim of the applicant. Sometimes or most ordinarily to show that the claim is exorbitant. You see, that's generally the view adopted by respondents. And on the other hand, the applicant also has an opportunity for a full disclosure of the respondent's means, his income, his assets, his liabilities, to try to determine what can he actually afford.
Mr. Pewa, have you looked at the amounts Mrs. Pewa set out in the affidavit as necessary for the monthly needs of the children?
Nope. Haven't seen any of the amounts or anything.
This breaks down the costs per child, as well as a few household costs, as related to your 2 daughters.
So the total is 2,250?
Each month, yes.
How will I know that this will get to the girls?
Of course it will. No, Mr. Pewa has a valid point. Many people think the money ends up getting spent on unnecessary things. And in some cases, the children really don't benefit.
Well, it won't.
Well, if this is going to be cause for argument, we could set it up so that the school fees are deducted from your account and paid directly to the school. That way, Mr. Pewa, you know where the money is going.
Okay, I'm happy with that.
In the main, they are satisfied with how the monies are expended. Yes, there are those who sometimes want to assure themselves that in fact the money is spent directly for the children. And so there are other orders that we make. Sometimes they do offer. Let's say for argument's sake, The father is a salaried or a waged employee, and he belongs to a medical aid scheme. Sometimes there would be an offer to say, I'll put the kid on my medical aid scheme. Sometimes there would be, school fees, and he would say, no, I will go to the school. I would sign the contract with the school, and I would pay the school expenses. So yes, there are other orders that maintenance courts do make.
And how would you like the rest of the money to be paid?
Well, I'm fine with the school fees amount, but the rest, I'm actually not happy about.
Mr. Pewa, the investigators found that you can easily afford the amount that Mrs. Pewa is asking for. If you contest it, then this will have to go to court. Or we could call another meeting and have Mr. Zulu explain the report further.
And what will happen if we go to court?
The magistrate will decide exactly how much you should or shouldn't pay. Mrs. Pewa has been very reasonable with her requests, considering the amount of income you are generating from your businesses. The magistrate would even order you to pay a higher amount than what Mrs. Pewa is asked for.
What does this have to do with anything?
Technically, there is a chance that the court may order you to pay up to 30% of what you earn each month.
30%?
Yes.
Let's just settle it here. I mean, I'm too busy to deal with this any longer.
Well then, all the two of you have to do is sign this consent form. And then we can organize the debit orders to the schools and the rest of the payment to Mrs. Pewa.
And then we'll be done.
Yes.
The legal duty to maintain a child exists for the parent. If you fail to do that, the other parent, as indicated, can approach the court. If the court order has been issued or a maintenance order has been issued and the other parent fails to honor the court order, in many instances, it's a man, he can be arrested, or if there's huge arrear amounts, even a warrant of execution against his property may be issued, where those goods that he has may be sold so that the money can be utilized for the payment of the maintenance of the child.
To make application for maintenance, visit the maintenance office at your local magistrate's court, where the maintenance clerk will assist you to fill out the necessary forms. Once you have applied for maintenance or have applied to have an existing maintenance order changed, the maintenance officer will subpoena the respondent to arrange a date where both of you must appear before the maintenance court. If you and the respondent reach agreement before the matter goes to court, the maintenance officer may arrange for you both to sign a consent order, which will be made an official order of the court. If you and the respondent are unable to agree, the maintenance officer will bring the matter to court and conduct an inquiry into the needs and financial affairs of both parties. The magistrate will then make a maintenance order. The final verdict was brought to you by SABC together with the Department of Justice and Constitutional Development.